Well,
Welcome
no,
to the movies to
no.
watch. I told you it's delayed.
Okay. I got it this time. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the movies to watch before you die podcast.
I am your host.
My name is Dylan.
Fuck, no. You're supposed to say your name, and then we both say cousin and co-host, and then say our names. I don't know.
I thought I was being so smart.
You can't outsmart me right now.
All right, let's just do it. Go on. Hello.
Welcome to the Movies Watch Before You Die podcast. I am your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host.
Welcome to the Movies We Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Gab, and I'm here with my cousin and co-host.
What the fuck?
Let's just keep going. Time. It's fine. Can't you just Photoshop them together?
You don't Photoshop audio, Gab. Dear Lord. This is how you know Gab has no hand in the editing of this podcast.
Yeah, I'm just here for the laughs. I'm here for the vibes.
Okay. Well, the vibes are off to a rough start. Let's see if we can get it together. Today, we're talking about a movie from the year 2000, Best in Show. But before we tell you about that movie, Gab, why don't you tell the people while they're listening to us?
Well, they're not listening to us because we're very good at this. I'll say that right now. We have plenty of experience in podcasting. We both have degrees in some vein of this industry, and we just both love talking about movies, and we love talking about the things that movies make us talk about.
We've got big veiny degrees, so let's get into Best in Show.
Boy joke.
Gab, why don't you tell us what is Best in Show about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Best in Show is about a big time local dog show, and all the contestants.
Is it big time or is it local, Gab?
Well, it's big time for the locals.
I think it's supposed to be big time.
No, I don't think it's like the American Kennel Club.
I think you're thinking of Westminster. I think it is supposed to be a parody of the Westminster Kennel Club.
Really? I thought it was supposed to be like some town in Florida hosts a dog show. No, I don't think it's supposed to be that big of a deal. Oh, I guess it is televised.
Yes, and they have all the working breeds. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I always thought it was just like some local rinky-dink dog show that all these people were like fussing about, like Waiting for Guffman.
Well, it would be the same way, I think, if it were local. I just think that it is supposed to be major. That's why all these people are coming from these different walks of life in different areas.
Yeah.
I do speak from a lot of dog show experience, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, I was going to ask you all about that, but I'm very excited. Okay, that's fair. So anyway, let me start again then, which seems to be the theme of the day. The movie Best in Show is about a dog show, and it is a sort of would you say mockumentary? I don't think so.
Absolutely.
Okay, it is a mockumentary about. Can I start again? I'd like to start again.
You can start again.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Finally, one last time. Let's hear it for the boys. The movie Best in Show is a mockumentary about a dog show and all of the participants. Final answer.
Okay. I award you no points. It may God have mercy on your soul.
I did watch this movie, just so you know. We're all a little dumber having listened to your answer.
Yes, let's hear the IMDb plot summary. A behind-the-scenes look into the highly competitive and cutthroat world of dog shows through the eyes of a group of ruthless dog owners. Want to hear the tagline?
Oh, yes, please.
Singular. Some pets deserve a little more respect than others.
How interesting. That
it works.
That's the tagline they want. But wouldn't you think that they'd choose a tagline that was a little bit more like take a peek into the world of, you know what I mean? As if it were a real documentary.
I guess so. You know what? Well, I guess I'll get into it in opinion time, but I had a thought that was very much based about a previous pick of yours. Yeah, I would say though that, your description was close enough just about the mockumentary aspect of it, that it is really just a mockumentary look at dog shows and what the people are like at dog shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we go into more description? Because it's not much of a plot, I suppose, or do we just get into opinions?
I think we probably just get into opinions. I think if there's anything to say, it's basically kind of what a Christopher Guest movie feels like. I don't know that we need to talk about the plot of the movie per se, but I think for anybody who hasn't seen a Christopher Guest movie, it's important to kind of note that everyone in this movie is a comedian, and a fantastic one at that. And the movie is very, very lightly scripted.
It's also sort of every sports documentary you've ever seen, in the fact that it is, obviously it's mocking those things, but it is introduction to your competitors and the people around your competitors. We get to the competition about halfway through. Then we see them through the competition, and we see a smidgen of what happened to the competitors afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So I guess on that note, we can get into opinions.
Let's do it.
In this critic's opinion,
That's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
So, Gab, my very first thought is this is such a better sports documentary than The Redeemed and the Dominant. I couldn't help but think that.
Side note, the Rogue Invitational was this weekend, and Pat Vellner won.
Good for Pat Vellner. You go, Pat
Yeah.
Vellner.
He won $280,000 for being fit, and he's just
Holy
like
shit.
he's just like somebody's chiropractor. You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that?
Wait, is he actually a chiropractor?
Yeah. He just like has a wife and a kid and a practice, and he like trains in his garage and then like goes and wins this.
Do chiropractors go by doctor?
I think like very lightly. I don't think around real doctors, but
I was going to say that is like the fakest of doctor, because
oh yeah.
realistically, they're just like snap somebody's neck, but don't kill them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just keep pushing until you hear a pop.
Yeah. Once you have fucked them up badly, but not badly enough to kill them, you've done your job.
Yeah. I would never go to a chiropractor. I'm too scared.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. No, especially because they're not real doctors. Like, that's the thing that really holds me back, you know?
Yeah, like I know the stereotype is like dentists aren't doctors, or like vets aren't doctors, but like a dentist or a vet would surely laud their doctor-esqueness over a chiropractor.
Oh my God, 100%. Also, I feel like vets are doctors.
I think being a vet is more impressive than being a human doctor. You got to be a vet for several species.
Yeah. And they don't tell you what the problem is. You can't communicate with them. You just got to figure it out.
We did used to have a vet, Dr. Wen, who could just like, he'd be like, walk the dog around the room, and you would do it, and he'd be like, it's his kidney. And you'd be like, what? You saw that from the walk?
I vaguely remember you guys talking about having Dr. Wen.
He was amazing. And then he like, it's a weird ending to the story. He was like, I'm abandoning my family and going to live in a monastery with this other woman. And it was like, whoa, what?
What?
He like ran off to another country. I don't remember what country it is.
Wow. But he was such a gifted vet.
Yeah. And then we continued going to that practice for a little bit, and it was like, none of y'all are Dr. Wen. Sorry.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
Dr. Wen. That's crazy. I remember I had a dog that faked an injury really bad, like would limp when we were home, and then like would be totally fine when nobody was home. But when we were home, he was like, and the doctor, no, it was Reese. But the doctor was like, you have been duped. Like, this dog is fucking with you. And sure as shit, she was right.
Call the
And
ambulance,
like,
but not for me.
Yeah. Like, holy shit. That's just, they have superpowers. Anyway,
First
yeah,
dog
Pat
show
Vellner.
story I have to segue into here.
Please.
You're well aware, Gab, but for everyone else, I grew up going to dog shows. I've talked once or twice before about my family. We had Leon Burgers, which are these giant breed of dogs, and we went to these Leon Burger dog competitions very frequently. My mom was always the handler and was very competitive with our dog Pony and with our dog Diesel. Both of them ended up, I think, one leg short of being considered a champion dog. They were always champions to us, but
Of course.
there was several times where Diesel got in the ring for active competition and was like, I am now limping. And then once he was out of the ring, he was like, look, I am fine. I have been healed. And each time my mom was like, you piece of shit, you fucked us.
Oh my God. Did Pony do really, really well?
Pony was very good as a show dog, and I think he was better he had the better. I feel like this is gonna sound weird to say about a dog, but I think you'll know what I mean. He had the better body. Like
Yeah.
when you examine the dog, he was more physically what they look for in a perfect dog, as you see sort of in Best in Show. And what ended up happening, I feel like very frequently, is we would all go as a family to these dog shows. And at some point we had to stop being around when Pony was going to be in the ring because Zach and I would be there. And the first time it happened, Zach and I were on the sidelines eating chips, being there to support mom, and our dad's there. And Pony would see us and be like, look, it's Zach and Dylan. And he just took off running past mom over to us with the chips.
Oh, God.
Like at one point, I remember we were in sort of, it was like a university arena type area. And so we went all the way to the upper deck so that we could just look down and be like, Pony can't see us from here, right? We were like crouched down, like, Pony won't see us, right? Because Pony will run to us for no reason. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, as we were watching this movie, Corey, who has never had dogs, was like, I don't get it. What are they looking for? And I tried to answer, and I was like, they're looking for like how perfectly bred the dog is, like how perfect of a specimen this very specific breed is. But I didn't want to get into too much detail because A, I don't really know, and B, I figured you'd be better to explain it. So can you just give like a brief rundown of like what they're looking for? Like how do you win?
I'm still like, if we're the two announcers, we're both Fred Willard in this scenario, because I'm still not like the actual announcer type guy seeming. But there are specifications for each breed of how should the hind legs be, how much should the jowls go down, how should the ears appear, you know what I mean? Like I remember specifically a big problem for Diesel was that he was sort of bow-legged, like his legs sort of were outward facing, and it was like, oh, he'll never win like that. Like it's will be like, you got Nuggo, this dog's a freak. Like, it felt very cruel.
Yeah.
I will say another thing is also that the judges at dog shows are very well portrayed in this because they take it so seriously.
Yeah.
And obviously the people do too, but the people have personalities. The judges are only in the ring to tell you you are good or you are shit. And if they want to, they will disqualify you at any time for any reason.
Oh my God.
That's
crazy.
Very power trippy.
So I feel like the way that I described it was actually pretty good, because what I said to him was, imagine it's a beauty pageant, except instead of beauty, they're like looking at how symmetrical you are. Like it's less like subjective and a little bit more objective.
Yes, it could be like, to compare to a beauty pageant, it wouldn't just be like, how good do you look? It'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, one of your feet faces slightly inward compared to the other one, so you're disgusting.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Cool. Well, I'm very proud of myself. Didn't you guys meet Billy Joel at a dog show?
No, but we did meet Billy. Well, my dad met Billy Joel, which I now call into question, but
well, fine. It wasn't in an elevator?
No, we used to take Pony, and we did Diesel too for a couple years, but we would go every year to the Hampton Classic, which makes us sound like we were much wealthier than we were. We were the po folk showing up at the Hampton Classic, I feel like. But we would go there because it was like such a great opportunity to have your dog around all these people and socialize and all that. And we have this amazing picture of Pony laying down next to a horse, which is just like very great. The way that both animals are like, yeah, I don't give a shit about you. I don't give a shit about you either.
Yeah.
But at one point, I think me, my mom, and my brother all were in the stands watching the actual horse show where the horses are jumping over the stuff and everything, And my dad was at the bar, and I'm not going to make any comment about that, but my dad was at the bar, and who should he run into but Billy Joel? And Billy Joel supposedly was like, I gotta pet this dog. And I will say, what gives credence to that story is the fact that I did actively see, and this was a very different time, I want to preface the story because it was very exciting at the time. Rudy Giuliani came up to us with Pony and was like, wow, look at the size of that dog. And we had so many like canned responses to things people would say, like, you could put a saddle on that dog because he's a pony. Like that was the point of the dog's name. You know what I mean? Like there were so many things like that. And I remember we all were like, oh my God, Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor who can do no wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Times
That's hilarious.
change.
Yeah.
But very cool at the time. But
yeah, Pony drew a lot of attention. Like it could have happened.
Diesel did too, and there's totally Diesel reminds me much more of Beatrice in this movie, where there's the moment in the airport where Beatrice sort of snaps at this guy, and the guy's like, "Whoa, you gotta get a handle on your dog," and they're like, "It was probably you. What'd you do to the dog, you freaking jerk?" And I think I mentioned it before that Diesel in the car was extremely territorial.
Yeah.
The moment he came out of the car, he was like, "Hey, we're all buddies here." In the car, he was like, "I'll fucking kill you if you look at this car. This car is very important to my family. Don't look at it." And one day, this guy that they like would see at the gym, my mom and dad, was like, "Yeah, Diesel kind of freaked out at me in the car." And they were like, "No, you're being stupid. Probably did something stupid." And like, in retrospect, that guy was definitely the first person to point out a very real problem.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, I think that's a really good place to kind of start talking about all the different characters, because you did mention Beatrice. She and her husband have a Weimaraner, and Beatrice, of course, played by the one and only Parker Posey, who we have talked about already as one of the villains, I guess you would say, in Josie
The
and the
antagonist from Josie and the
Pussycats. The
Pussycats.
antagonist, yeah. Which is a great movie, by the way. And just a phenomenal, hilarious performer.
The two of them are great. Megan Hamilton Swan, I think they are. And
Yes.
they have a moment where they're describing, it's obviously a very different time. You know, the movie came out in the year 2000, so it wasn't really the internet age yet, which sounds so old of me to say. But
no, but it's true.
They're having a moment where they're describing, aren't we so lucky we grew up in the time of catalogs? Because you just get to look in the catalog and you don't really have to interact with people. You just call. And I was like, oh my God, that's all of us now with like, oh my God, aren't we so lucky that we grow up in the time of apps now? And like, I can just DoorDash the food rather than have to like see an actual person.
It's so true. I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, we've always wanted to avoid talking to people.
And still do. I can't believe we do this every week.
Honestly, I know. You're the only person I talk to. Willingly.
Parker Posey is great though.
Parker Posey is so good. I really like, I think I told you her monologue in Waiting for Guffman, like her audition monologue, is the monologue that got me into college.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think I know the monologue.
I think it was from a deleted scene. I don't remember it at this point, but I can look it up and tell you about it.
I think I've only seen bits and pieces of Waiting for Guffman. I know this movie much better.
Yeah.
I will say there is a moment with Parker Posey with Megan Hamilton that like I've seen this movie 100 times and I actively was laughing out loud from it. It's obviously the part where they're freaking out about the Busy Bee, which is their dog Beatrice's toy, which we don't know if it has the same importance to Beatrice as it does to Megan Hamilton, but Megan Hamilton are so anxious and so uppity that they are panicking and putting their anxiety onto their dog about this Busy Bee being missing. So they go looking for the Busy Bee, and it's just the way it made me think of you a little bit too with the follow-up line. But Meg goes, if she doesn't get her toy, she's gonna flip out. And Hamilton goes, he says this to Beatrice with such sincerity, don't look at the fat ass losers or freaks, you look at me.
I thought about that too. I was dying. I was like, the amount of anxiety and him just like deciding to degrade everyone for no reason. I was like, oh, I've been there.
Well, this poor dog at this point is just looking around because he just knows that the people around him are yelling. And the guy goes, you look at me. And it's just like, I legitimately was sitting in my chair laughing out loud from that scene. And I've seen it 100 times.
It's so good. And it really is like, I started thinking about like, this dog is obviously a very well trained like performer dog, right? Because it is just so like calm and just staring at them with these like very sad eyes, because it's obvious that the people around it are freaking the fuck out, but like the dog is not giving in to the freak out. And I was just like, wow, what a gifted dog.
You know what I do feel like I noticed more in this movie? That these definitely are performer dogs. They're not show dogs. Because the thing about being a show dog is when it's going to sound so stupid, but every time you stop in a dog show, the dog should be on your left side. You could be standing, you could be sitting, but the dog should be on your left side. And I noticed several times that like when they would stop, they would just cut away from like the person who stops running because they're like, obviously the dog was just like, what do I do now? Where's the person with the treat for me?
That's really funny that you would notice that. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? And like the dogs are very, I don't know, they just like are clearly reacting the way that they're supposed to react, not the way that like a regular dog would react, you know?
Do you feel like you would be any of these characters, or you and Corey would be any of these characters?
I mean, I'm probably mostly a Beatrice just because of how uptight and anxious I am.
Wait, the dog?
Sorry, I meant Meg, not the dog.
Okay.
I meant Meg, not the dog. The Parker Posey character. I will say though, to tie it back to CrossFit, Harlan Pepper, hilarious name. There's an actual CrossFitter named Dallin Pepper.
Is he anything like Harlan Pepper?
I think they're all a little bit like that, if you know what I mean. But
okay,
a little southern, you know.
But
slow.
wait, you and Corey, anyone you feel like you'd be?
Not really, because what are my options, right? There's Cookie and Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
There's
the Megan Hamilton.
Megan Hamilton, right?
You got Christy and I feel bad, Jennifer Coolidge, Sherry.
Oh yeah. Sherry Ann
and Christy Cummings, which
Yeah.
don't start as a couple,
right?
And you got the Vanderhoofs.
The Vanderhoofs.
Yes, Stefan and I can't remember his character.
Oh, the gay guys. Yeah.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I was like, where do I know this guy from?
Which one?
Where
Because
do
you know
I
them
know him
both from a million things, I'm sure.
Michael McKay is specifically who I was
Michael
talking about.
McKean?
Michael McKean. Better Call Saul.
You know him from that, and I guarantee if you looked him up on IMDb, you would be like, "Oh my god, I've seen that! I've seen that! I've seen that!" Like,
yeah,
he
but
pops up everywhere.
specifically, did you ever watch Better Call Saul?
I didn't, and I love Breaking Bad.
Oh my god, I didn't get all the way into it, but the first season was really good. But he plays Saul's brother, and he was so good. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you the truth, and we actually talked about it when we were watching it. I think we are the Vanderhoofs because we love talking shit. We love talking shit. And when we are at competitions, we will look around and be like, oh, did you see that? You know what I mean? Like
Well,
the little just like
first of
comments.
all, I've 100% met the Vanderhoofs at dog shows.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much every one of these people are like real people you could meet at a dog show for sure. Now that you said that, I'm like, oh, Giselle and I could totally be the Vanderhoofs because we do love the drama.
Of course.
The hot goss. But
yep.
I also was like, oh no, are we Megan Hamilton? Because I could totally see us being like, back when we had Jack, I could totally see us being like, look at Jack, you're making me anxious. Jack says, oh no, I don't feel so good about this right now. Like, totally that. And at the same time, I'm like, oh no, am I Jerry Fleck? Because I do feel like I'm like, oh, I would totally be insecure over nothing. Like poor Jerry is insecure constantly throughout this movie. And I'm like, I feel for Jerry. I could be Jerry.
Same, 100%. We had to kind of put it into context of, I put it into context of like, we obviously have never been to a dog show or competed in that, but we compete in CrossFit. So I'm like, if we show up to a CrossFit competition, we're definitely the Vanderhoofs because we're like way too confident. We're like making little comments to each other about like, well, yeah, but did you see what shoes she's wearing? Like she's wearing running shoes. Are you kidding me? You're wearing running shoes to squat? Like, oh my God. And then we'll wind up like, no.
I will say it's so hard to convey, but the way that John Michael Higgins' character walks in the ring, you have to watch this movie just for that, because him doing his walk with the dog where he has both his arms at his sides, like, are you not entertained? Is one of the funniest things to me every time I watch this movie too.
It's so good. What is he from?
Again, he's one of those guys who shows up in a million things. He's not normally like the star of anything, but you've seen him in 100 things.
It's so funny. Catherine O'Hara, hilarious. I think the funniest bit in the entire movie is them discussing how they met and him having two left feet and like the dancing. Like, I just love it. I think it is so funny. I love Todd Packer from The Office is her ex-boyfriend.
Nope.
Oh my God, wait. That's hilarious because I always confuse these two actors. He's the one from Anchorman. Nope,
That
that's
is Todd
Todd Packer. This is the guy that played the dad on Glee.
I have not watched Glee, but the guy in Best in Show is Larry Miller. The guy from Anchorman and The Office is David Koechner.
They're the fucking same though, right? Like
They are
give me
totally
that.
not. They're just both bald.
They're bald and they're funny.
Lots of people are bald, and Howie Mandel doesn't look like these two.
Howie Mandel is not funny. Corey's best friend is bald and funny. Shout out to Frank. He'll never hear this.
Does Frank look like Larry Miller and David Koechner?
No.
There you go.
But he has a beard.
That's the difference. Larry Miller does have one of my favorite lines in this. He talks about being a hostage negotiator, and they're saying, I don't know, do they ask him like any trade secrets or something like that? No, he lets them in on a trade secret because they ask him like any great stories about like talking someone down, and he goes, trade secret, they all jump. They always jump.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, they always jump.
And then the son has the dog, and he's sitting on the roof of like their garage, and he goes, honey, I do this for a living. Let me talk to him. I will gouge your left eye out with my thumb.
It's so funny. It's so funny. So I actually had a moment during that scene. It was kind of like so you know when you revisit a movie as an adult and you're like, oh, I'm thinking about this differently now. If that's your dog, forget about the show dog. If that's your dog, and this little kid is sitting and holding it, sitting on the edge of the roof of the shed, are you freaking out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Well, first of all, if this was Jack or Diesel or Pony, if he's holding up a 100 to 150 pound dog on a roof, I don't think he's going to make it much longer.
Sure. But let's say it's your little terrier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because again, if you think about it, for a little terrier, that may as well be being on a fucking skyscraper. Like it's King Kong holding the beautiful lady.
When I was a kid, I would think to myself, oh my God, they're being so dramatic. Like he's just like on the roof, like an inch up off the ground. Like it's not a big deal. And then watching it back as an adult, I was like, oh my God, that dog could literally lose its life. Very similarly to the way that I accidentally dropped your kitten that one time.
Oh, you're talking about when you dropped our cat Puffin and totally fucked our cat up?
Puffin went from a very hopeful young kitten to a very, very sad and limited adult cat when I dropped her on her face. In fairness, though, they tell you that cats always land on their feet. Like, I don't understand how she landed directly on her head.
It turns out if you tombstone pile drive the cat does not land on its feet.
I did not tombstone pile drive the cat. The cat just like slipped. And honestly, the fact that the cat didn't land on its feet leads me to believe that it would have been fucked up whether I dropped her or not.
This cat went from perfectly normal to looking like a school bus with a totally flat
bus.
front.
Yes.
Her poor face
really
was so
did.
flat that when she tried to drink, she was shouting herself every time.
Aww.
God rest her.
Did she? Tell me more about how she died.
Oh my God. I don't want to do that.
I want to know if I have to feel guilty.
All I know is when I was on my honeymoon, I got a text. We put Puffin down, and I was like, oh, not the way I would have wanted to find this out.
That's right. I remember that. Okay. Yeah, they put her down. She wasn't like young by any stretch.
She had long gotten past the tombstone pile driving.
Yeah, she lived a full life. A full life. And honestly, she didn't know what was happening. She was
just say it couldn't have been a fuller life, but
vibes.
I digress.
It's okay. Anyway, so that's how I feel about the sitting on the roof thing. It was a much bigger deal now.
Yeah, because I mean, anyone who has a pet now, especially a small pet, I feel like that's a terrifying distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty high up there. Not worried about the kid though. Even as an adult, the kid's fine.
Yeah, the kid's gonna be fine. Worst thing that happens if that kid falls is like maybe a broken leg.
Yeah, if even, it's not that hard. He's falling on grass.
He also might get his eye thumbed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The fate of his father's wrath is probably worse than whatever's going to happen to him if he falls. What's the worst way your parents ever punished you? Because I vaguely remember you would get like grounded or you would get sent to your room, but you were like low key allowed to sit on the stairs and like still be involved with the family. And I always thought that was soft.
Well, I do think, first of all, I think I've been told that I was an abnormally well-behaved child, I guess. So I wasn't punished very often.
Yeah.
Zach was much more often like sent to his room. But I do remember Zach and I were like sent to our rooms. we wouldn't be breaking the rule, but our rooms were like directly across the hallway from each other. So he would just be sitting directly where his door is. I would be sitting directly where my door is, and I'd be like, "Hey, sucks we got in trouble." Yeah. Like we would just be like right there next to each other still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's smart, right? Like if you're going to go to jail, go with a buddy.
Yeah, or kick someone's ass the first day or become somebody's bitch,
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
was the bitch? You or Zach? Probably
Well,
you.
we're brothers, Gab, so we try not to be either of us the bitch.
Well, I didn't mean literally. I just meant like in that scenario, who's in
At
charge?
the time, it certainly would have been me as the bitch.
Yeah. No
Yes.
question. I think the worst way my parents ever punished me. So actually, I do remember when I got to a point where I could no longer be punished, and it was beautiful. But my biggest punishment was no screens. So if it had a screen, I wasn't allowed to use it. No TV, no computer, no like phone, which theoretically speaking, like back in the day, I'm not talking about cell phones. Like I had a phone, a landline in my room, and that really wasn't a screen, but my mom, it packed that in there with the screens.
It makes sense
video
in terms
games.
of punishment.
Yeah, like I just wasn't allowed to. She would literally be like, no screen. She'd be like, you could read a book, you could listen to music, but you can't do anything with a screen.
She made you go full Amish, butter churning only.
Full Amish. And then for my 18th birthday, 17th birthday? I don't know. 16 or 17 or 18, somewhere in there. I bought myself a car. Do you remember my convertible?
How did you buy yourself the car at that age?
Well, I worked and I saved all my money, but also don't forget I had a Sweet 16. And so all the money I got for my Sweet 16, I put toward the car.
Oh, you bougie bitch. I was
I
like,
know,
I
so-
had nobody to buy myself a car at that time. Go on.
I mean, the car was like $6,000. It was a used, like, Chrysler Sebring. It wasn't, anything fancy. But I bought this car, and my mom, I remember the first time my mom was like, "You're not going anywhere. Give me the keys." And I was like, I don't have to give you the keys. I bought this with my money. You can't take it away from me. And she was like, just stopped dead in her tracks. And I would get in trouble, and like I would sleep in my car. I'd be like, I am outside of the legal jurisdiction if I am in this vehicle. It was crazy. Not that I ever did anything wrong, but
I remember in your backyard, you used to also have the little clubhouse. So I just imagine you being like, I'm going to my little clubhouse.
Oh my God. I remember when I got that, your mom said to my mom, mind you, the clubhouse was a shed that my parents let me like put furniture in, and like it didn't have electricity or anything like that, but it was like a place that I could go hang out.
Too.
It was tiny. Yeah. It did have a little loft upstairs, but it was very small.
It's a garage. Upstairs,
like,
but again, if you were over 5'5", you probably could not stand up in this.
Oh yeah, no, it was teeny tiny. You could stand up right in the middle because it was an A-frame, so you could stand right in the middle. But literally after my parents bought it for me, it must have been like my 9th or 10th birthday or something. Your mom said to my mom, she's gonna lose her virginity in there, right?
That is the most my mom thing I've ever heard. Of course she said that.
My mom, who is looking at her 10-year-old daughter, is like, "Oh,
what have I just done?" Not today.
I did not lose my virginity. I did not lose my virginity in the clubhouse, by the way.
Yeah, it was the guy's shed.
Yeah, exactly. It was his backyard shed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
now my dad keeps his lawnmower in there.
Oh, how sad.
I know.
Hopefully he doesn't ever have to sleep in there.
Yeah, honestly, although who knows.
There was another quote that made me think of you in this. It was Buck the announcer again. He just looks over at the other guy. There are so many moments where Fred Willard just says the most random thing because obviously they're improvising, they're riffing, and he just looks at him and he goes, "Let me ask you a question. How much do you think I could bench press?"
I knew you were going to say that. I love that moment. He is the announcer of a dog show, and he asks him what he thinks. I mean, it's just brilliant.
The only part where it broke the Gav illusion is when he goes, "I definitely couldn't run to the end of this floor and back, but I could deadlift 500 pounds. Like, I was like, I just picture this being you, like just on the subway, Gab, and you just look at the guy next to you, and you go, "How would you think I could bench press?"
Yeah, honestly. Although I can't bench press much, I'll tell you that. I can squat, I can deadlift, I can Olympic lift. I can't bench. My upper body is just a couple of noodles.
I'm just trying to uplift myself emotionally each day.
Well, that too. That's a lift I haven't quite mastered yet.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God. But I do want to talk a little bit about and maybe I don't know if you want to do this in the facts, but I do want to talk about how this movie is written and how much improv there is, and like how much of this is just allowing comedians to be comedians.
That's definitely something we can address in the facts, and we'll get to that probably very shortly, because I don't know how much more there is to really address opinion wise. But I think the last thing that I had opinion wise is how interesting it is the way that it does follow up the 6 months later. And I think they do this in all of Christopher Guest movies, where it's like, where are they now, very briefly, and they're never in a great spot. Like, it's very rare that anyone ever truly is elevated from where they were prior to whatever the event may be.
Yeah. And I feel like that mimics real life, right? Like, especially because these characters are always very like strange and very sort of, quirky. And so it's not like Cinderella and the leading man, have this beautiful life. It's like, oh, they're crazy and they got crazier,
Well, they're strange and quirky, but in another sense, they're also very real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's what makes it work as a mockumentary is these feel like very real people. I think there's only one thing that doesn't feel realistic in this whole movie to me, and it's the fact that it works because it's fine. You forget about it. It's the fact that Jerry has 2 left feet. He was born with 2 left feet. And you know what? You forgive it because you're laughing at it. But that's the only thing that is like unrealistic about this movie. Otherwise, every single thing in this movie feels like it could really be happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's very realistic that, yeah, nobody is going to find overnight success after winning a dog show. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even the biggest dog show in the world, how many winners of the Westminster Kennel Club show can you name?
0.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Even with most sports, like even a lot of Olympic athletes, if you were an Olympian and you came in 4th place, your life's not changing that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know an Olympian. Have I told you that? Have I mentioned that on the podcast?
What place did they come in?
I don't know. They're a bobsled guy.
I do love, have you seen that meme where it's like, I want for the Olympics to have just a very average person participate in every event?
Yeah, just for scale.
I love that idea. I think that's brilliant.
Me too.
It would make the last place guy feel a lot better about himself, I'm sure, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's really funny. Like, I always go back to CrossFit, but I feel like that's the thing that is most like the cool thing about CrossFit is that you watch the professionals do it. And then like the next day you'll go into your gym and like try it. You know what I mean? And you do like the scaled regular person version. And it does make it really cool because you'll watch TV and you watch them do it. You're like, pick up the barbell, you stupid asshole. Like, hurry up. And then you get to the gym and you're doing like a third of the weight. And you're like, oh my God, I can't do this.
Well,
and
first of all, Gab,
really
are you the scaled
person.
regular person in this scenario?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
You are semi-professional at least, Gab. You are not regular person anymore. Sorry to tell you.
I'm sorry to tell you. I think I have a full-blown mental breakdown in the gym at least once a week because I can't do what is really like the intermediate scaled version of this professional program that we're on. And like, I can't do like gymnastic shit, right? Like, and it is the most frustrating thing I've ever experienced in my life. And then I find out, like, you really put it in perspective later and you're like, the professionals, and by the way, I will never be a professional, but the professionals are not even doing this workout. Like, they're doing this workout on crack, and I'm crying like I'm going to the games next year and I've got this weakness I can't fit. Like, it really is. It becomes unhealthy, I think.
It's very much me watching football too, though. Like, I'll watch the Patriots and I'll be like, that hits your hands. You got to catch it, man. And meanwhile, this guy is like fully extended diving for the ball. And yes, it touched his hands, but it's like, I wouldn't have gotten within 10 yards of the fucking ball. What am I talking about? You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. It's something else.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to critique from the couch, even in dog shows.
And movies.
Yeah. I ain't making shit.
Right. Same. But here we are. Yeah. I think what's really great about this movie is that it truly is a caricature of people that you see every day. No matter what your sport is, no matter what your event is, you see people like these characters. And it is just so funny to watch everything unfold. And the action that's happening isn't necessarily funny, but the characters and how they each deal with it is hilarious. And I think anybody who watches this movie will recognize these characters from whatever it is that they do.
Yeah, and I think you can recognize yourself in at least one of these characters for sure at some point.
Yeah. No
Not
question.
proudly, but you can recognize yourself in one of these characters.
Yes.
Should we get to some facts?
Back me up.
I want the truth! Face the facts, dukes.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
I'm going to start with our ratings. IMDb gives it a 7.4 out of 10. On the tomato meter, it has a 93%, average rating of 7.5 out of 10, 108 fresh reviews, and 8 rotten. An audience score of 88%, an average score of 4.1 out of 5. It had a budget of $10 million. It grossed $20.8 million.
Wow.
I wouldn't say that's like a hugely successful box office run, but I would say that this is at a minimum a cult classic, because I feel like I know a lot of people who, if you know this movie, you love this movie type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what the critics said. The critics' consensus: a fine example of writer-director-star Christopher Guest's gift for improv comedy. Best in Show boasts an appealingly quirky premise and a brilliantly talented cast. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 stars. A wickedly funny mockumentary. I can't read wickedly anything without thinking of John Travolta now. It's so long gone, but I was like, Roger Ebert said a wickedly talented Adele. I can't not think that when I see wickedly.
That's amazing. Yeah.
What did Roger Ebert?
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to talk about John Travolta, but we don't need to.
We can get to John Travolta if you want to, but okay.
I just don't understand how he has gotten away with what he's gotten away with. Like, if you really think about it, I love John Travolta. I have no personal vendetta against John Travolta, but we're talking about a guy who has done a lot of really questionable things as a Scientologist, and we cancel people for way less, but we've all just collectively decided John Travolta's cool because he was Danny Zuko.
I think maybe it's because of him not having that much success now.
You think?
Yeah, because I don't feel like any of those things have happened recently enough, along with him being in the spotlight recently enough.
Yeah, I suppose. Is he just retired? He doesn't act
I think
anymore?
he still works. I don't think he does anything big. I know he did a movie, The Fanatic, that was directed by Fred Durst, who from Limp Bizkit.
What?
Gab, you got to watch the trailer for this motherfucker, because he is playing someone who is mentally challenged, and it looks bad.
Did we learn nothing from radio?
I could quote Tropic Thunder here, but I won't.
Yeah. But just know we're thinking it.
Travolta went full,
wow.
and you never go full.
You never go full. That is crazy. Wow. Yeah, I just feel like we let him get away with a whole lot of shit. And I especially for a man who was very handsome and couldn't really carry it through into maturity.
I think it's the baldness that probably threw him. I think it was the losing of the hairline and the baldness. I think he's embraced it now, and I think it works. He works shaved head.
There's just a lot of handsome bald guys. Look at Mr. Clean, handsome.
He's not real, Gab.
Well, he's real to me.
You couldn't come up with anyone else like fucking young Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah, young Bruce Willis. Howie Mandel.
Oh my God.
Not handsome. But
It's a short
second time we
list.
brought him up this episode. But that's all I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we feel sorry for him. And he gets away with a lot. Potentially including murder. But anyway.
Well, if it's
that's neither here
another
nor there.
Pulp Fiction-esque renaissance, we'll take him down a peg.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
Watch yourself, Travolta. We're on to you.
Yeah, Travolta. Easy does it, all right? Olivia Newton-John, R.I.P.
Okay.
Yeah, she died, remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Matthew Perry died too. We've already spoken about that though.
Yes, we have. That was weeks
Okay.
ago, motherfucker.
Sorry, weeks ago. Anyway,
Okay. Should we get to more reviews for Best in Show?
please.
Okay. Nell Minow, the movie Mom, which I don't know why that's like a top critic on Rotten Tomatoes, but good for you, Nell. Fans of offbeat humor will get a big kick out of this follow-up to Waiting for Guffman, but there will be more appreciative, oh, that's funny comments than outright laughs.
I just don't know who she thinks she is speaking for me because I laugh.
At the same time, we're speaking for people out there. So somebody out there is like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up, Gavin Dillon. And meanwhile, we're
guess.
going back up the chain like, fuck you, movie mom.
Yeah, movie mom, get out of here. Let me ask you a question. Would you ever want to be a movie critic? And also, what are the credentials?
I deeply aspire to be a movie critic. I think we are basically armchair critics. We're literally sitting here critiquing movies.
Yeah, but don't you want to be a real critic?
You make me sound like Pinocchio now.
I'm a real critic.
I don't really think there are technically credentials. I think obviously you can have gone to school for writing, but you don't have to have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you, I mean, is that something that you like consider?
Oh, I think that was my dream job as a kid.
Okay, well, what about now?
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I do this. That's too much for me anyway.
Okay. All right. No, I'm just asking. Just trying to see.
But if you ever pass me on the street, ask me to critique movies, I'll do it.
He'll do it for free. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this man's name, so I'm gonna say it the funniest way possible.
Okay.
From Decent Films, Stephen D. Grade Anus.
Oh yeah, that's good.
It's Greydanus. Grade Anus.
Gradanus?
If that's what he wants to say, I'm sure he heard Grade Anus many times.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. That reminds me of I went to school with a girl named Amanda Wiener, and she tried to tell us it was Weiner, but it's Wiener.
Yeah, you're gonna mercilessly get called Wiener for the rest of your life.
It just is what it is. I hope she married somebody and got to change that. Anyway.
Mr. Cox, yes.
Yeah.
What did Grade Anus say? What a pity that such funny material, Guest and company found it necessary to rely so heavily on sex as a supplementary source of comedy.
What?
Isn't that a very prudish comment? Because there is no sex in this movie. No one has sex in this movie. It is a secondary joke that Catherine O'Hara's character had hundreds of boyfriends before being with Jerry.
Yeah.
That's about it.
That's really it. And I guess there's, Meg and Hansel. What's his name?
Hamilton.
They're
He's so hot right now.
Yeah, so hot right now. They're talking to their therapist, and they're like, she doesn't like it when we have, referring to the dog, she doesn't like it when we have sex. But that's it. Those are the only comments about sex. Yes,
I forgot about that. And again, in no way, if you really wanted to go there, they could have a cutaway where it shows Meg and Hamilton having sex, and they just see the dog in the room with them, and they're like, "Oh God, she's staring!" You know what I mean? Like they're freaking out or something.
Right? Yeah, but they don't
that.
even.
Yeah.
No, that's so crazy. All right, whatever. Prude.
Grade Anus has something stuck in him. Last one, David Anson from Newsweek. Christopher Guest seems to know just how far he can stretch reality without losing the crucial texture of verisimilitude. This is a comedy even cat lovers might adore.
I agree. I think that hits the nail on the head. It really does push the limit, but keeps it believable.
I cannot believe I got through the word verisimilitude.
I can't believe somebody had the balls to use that word. It's like, listen, you're not a rocket scientist. You're a movie critic. Relax with the SAT words.
Yeah, people have to read these.
Yeah, honestly, that's the whole point of the job.
So now we can get into the movies directed by Christopher Guest, who also directed A Mighty Wind, Waiting for Guffman, and For Your Consideration. It was written by Christopher Guest and Eugene Levy, who also wrote This is Spinal Tap.
I'm sorry. It's Levy.
Oh, I did just say Levy. Eugene Levy, who also wrote This is Spinal Tap, Saturday Night Live, and Schitt's Creek. Gab is very upset at me. I'm sorry.
Wait, have you ever seen Spinal Tap? This is Spinal Tap?
Yeah.
Is it good? I've never seen it.
Yes, it's definitely very good.
Okay.
What's interesting is they also have gone on to exist as an actual band. They have done tours.
The fake band?
Yes, it's Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer, and Michael McKean.
I love Michael McKean.
They have done actual performances. I don't think they do now because they're each in at least their 60s, but they did actual concerts.
Wow. We should watch that movie.
I'd be down.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I would like to.
The movie stars Fred Willard and Jim Pittick as our announcers. You may know Fred Willard from Anchorman, A Mighty Wind, and Modern Family. Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara as Jerry and Cookie Fleck. You may know Levy from American Pie, SCTV, and Schitt's Creek. And you may know Catherine O'Hara from Orange County, which we just recently reviewed. Home Alone and Schitt's Creek. Parker Posey and Michael Hitchcock as the catalog-loving swans. You might know Posey from Josie and the Pussycats, Beau is Afraid, and Scream 3. You might know Michael Hitchcock from United States of Terror and Bridesmaids, it says he's in, but I don't really remember him in Bridesmaids.
Yeah, I don't remember him in Bridesmaids either.
Nope. Also, the film stars Jennifer Coolidge as Sherry, who you might know from Legally Blonde, American Pie, and The White Lotus. Jane Lynch as Christy Cummings, who you may know from Glee, Role Models, and she had a tiny role in The Fugitive, which I think we may have discussed.
Yes, we did.
Michael McKean and John Michael Higgins as Stefan and Scott. How many kimonos do you need? The Vanderhoofs. You may know McKean from Airheads or This is Spinal Tap. You might know John Michael Higgins from the game show America Says and The Mighty Wind. Lastly, I'm just going to say Christopher Guest plays Harlan Pepper, and you might know him from The Princess Bride and This is Spinal Tap, and he's been married to Jamie Lee Curtis since 1984.
Wait a second. I didn't know any of that.
What, that Christopher Guest in The Princess Bride, he's the six-fingered man.
Hold on. Hold up. Number one, I didn't know that was Christopher Guest. Number two, I didn't know he was in The Princess Bride. Number three, I didn't know he was married to Jamie Lee fucking Curtis.
There was a very cute video that I did find of him he was presenting some like lifetime award to her. And he just is basically standing there going, they asked me if I wanted to present this. I said, yes, they gave no further instruction. So here I am. Like he's so awkward about it, but it was great.
He's not really Southern.
No, not at all.
Okay, you can't understand a goddamn thing that he says. Wait, I love that. That
I
makes
love
me
Harlan Pepper.
so happy. I love Harlan Pepper. I love Christopher Guest. I just didn't know who he was. I love that he's married to Jamie Lee Curtis. I love that. This made me so happy. They've been married for that long. So do they have children?
Yes, since 1984. They're a very cute couple.
Yeah, they have kids.
I think so.
How did this whole Jamie Lee Curtis is a hermaphrodite thing start?
What? What the
You've never heard that rumor?
About? No, I
You've
feel
never
like that
heard
was
that
a
rumor?
rumor about like Lady Gaga when we were in like middle school.
No. First of all, bite your tongue. It was a rumor about Sierra, who we also just talked about.
I think both. Because I know I
Maybe.
heard that. There's literally footage you can find of Lady Gaga being like, what if I did have a penis? Because I love that was the route Lady Gaga went. She was like, so what? What if I am? She's like, call my
That's
bluff,
hilarious.
bro.
But Jamie Lee Curtis was definitely accused.
Well, she's appeared naked in movies. Like, it seems stupid to accuse her of that.
That's true. Anyway, that makes me so happy. Wait, answer the question. Do they or do they not have kids?
I was looking it up. They have two daughters,
Oh, what are their names?
Ruby and Annie.
Oh, that's so sweet. Has he ever directed her?
His Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's why their relationship has lasted this long.
You got to keep work and play separated.
Separation of church and state.
If only we had that.
Yeah, honestly. It's got to exist somewhere. That's nice.
At the 2001 American Comedy Awards, Best in Show won Funniest Motion Picture, Funniest Supporting Actress for Catherine O'Hara, and Funniest Supporting Actor for Fred Willard.
That is awesome. Also, Fred Willard is a gem, and it's devastating that we lost him. What is your favorite Fred Willard role? I have a hot take on mine.
You know, it's hard to say because I feel like he shows up in like small parts all over the place and just knocks it out of the park. I'd probably say this, but he's great in Anchorman in a small role. He's great in King of the Hill. He appears in many episodes of that. Why? What's yours?
Modern Family. I just think as like an older Fred Willard who plays Phil Dunphy's dad, and Phil Dunphy is like the best character ever written. It is so heartwarming. The two of them are just perfect together.
I was gonna say, I don't think I watched enough of Modern Family to see too much of him in it, but I did like that show. I never loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just used to watch it like when it was on TV. I wasn't like a serial watcher, but I do love Phil Dunphy. The actor who plays Phil Dunphy, his name is
Burrell.
Ty Burrell, big Mets fan.
Oh,
I know. He's one of us. We love that.
poor bastard.
I know. It's a rough life. But he is awesome, and his character on that show is so good. And Fred Willard does such a good job of like being similar in the way that like father and son would have those similarities, especially kind of like in a very like we both love being dads kind of way. It's just so sweet.
I also imagine it's very different from, say, these Christopher Guest type movies where he is working much more off a script.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously it's much more like wholesome comedy.
But we can finally get into that. This whole movie comes from a narrative outline, which was 16 to 20 pages long.
Wow.
So they ended up shooting 60 hours of footage and then cut down to the 90 minutes you see.
Wow, that's a lot.
What do I have here? Catherine O'Hara said they would sometimes accuse people of making things up ahead of time if it was very funny.
Oh, that's great.
Eugene Levy said that we learned during Waiting for Guffman that you can't laugh during a recorded take. It just makes the filming day longer. So people apparently don't break very often on the movies.
Wow.
Things that I can confirm were written ahead of time. The Two Left Feet and the song God Loves a Terrier.
Of course.
And Fred Willard was shooting on this movie for one day.
What?
All of Fred Willard and the other announcer, Jim Pittick, they shot all of their stuff in one day.
Wow. That is insane.
Also, Fred Willard was specifically instructed by Christopher Guest not to research dogs at all.
That's so great.
The other
so
actor, Jim Pittick, had to do a lot of dog research so his character would appear knowledgeable. Christopher Guest has said that viewers are surprised to learn Pittick is not a real dog show judge or announcer.
Yeah, he's great. He's got to be gifted because he is so straight and just like totally unamused by Fred Willard.
Well, it does require, it's an impressive ability to be that good a straight man, and he does a great job of it.
He does, because Fred Willard is just he takes left turns like nobody's business.
Yes, I think he says at one point about like the terriers or the Shih Tzus. To think in some countries these dogs are eaten, and the other guy does not even blink. He's asking him ridiculous questions all over the place. Yes,
it's so good.
What position would these dogs play on a football field? Random shit.
Yeah, I love watching this movie back and seeing the lines come out in a way that you can kind of tell is like just coming to them. Or there's a specific scene I'm thinking of with Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, where Eugene Levy is kind of struggling with the words. And he's like, we met at, and he's like kind of hesitant. And Catherine O'Hara is like, the bank, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And like, she just spits it out and he's like, oh, yes, yes. And she's like, and don't forget, da, da, da. Like, it's just, you can see that it's being improvised.
Well, I can see how they ended up with 60 hours of footage because they are just rolling off each other. And something you can do in scenes, I feel like, is once you've seen this movie enough times, you can try and just watch the people who aren't talking and watch them try and react.
Yeah.
Because you can tell people are sometimes thinking about, okay, how can I respond to this? Like,
yeah,
Jerry and Cookie, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara's characters, I don't know if it's a written thing or not, but he starts off saying she had, lots of boyfriends. It must have been tens of boyfriends or something like that. It's something like that. And Catherine O'Hara, without missing a beat, goes hundreds. You know what I mean? And that becomes a major, like, not a major, but it becomes a subplot of that character, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so great. And I think if you are somebody that has an appreciation for improv or Saturday Night Live or anything where there's a lot of like on the fly, you will love this movie because it just feels like people are together and they're just trying to be funny. And it hits every time.
What else do I have here? We have just a couple more. So apparently in the hotel, I've never noticed this before. I didn't think to look for it this time. The clocks on the wall behind the reception counter at the hotel are all Eastern Standard Time for the cities of Boston, New York, Baltimore, Miami, and Philadelphia, which are all East Coast cities.
That's hilarious. No, I never noticed that. That's great. Side note, them being put in the utility closet is phenomenal. Like they can't afford the hotel room. They don't have a credit card. The credit card they are giving them isn't working. So they have to have a room in the utility closet and they like clear out some cleaning supplies and it's gold.
Well, and another person who deserves to be called out as a fantastic straight man is Ed Begley Jr., who plays the hotel manager, who is just there to, it's like watching a great point guard in basketball because he's just feeding other people the rock so that they can score the points. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of assists.
Great.
And the last one I have here is Christopher Guest cast Jane Lynch after I think this is wrong because I saw them talking about not after he directed her, but after he saw her in a Frosted Flakes commercial.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I don't think Jane Lynch was, big yet, certainly.
Wow, that's crazy because 2000 feels like it would have been late.
It's so 2000 and late.
Yeah, very 2000 and late. Sorry, one of my clients just texted me and I thought she was canceling, but she's not. She's confirming. I had a moment of hope. It's tomorrow, 6 a.m.
Ew, gross.
Yeah. Anyway, so good. So good. All right, what else you got for me?
Well, Gab, the only thing I got for you now is some mail.
Mail?
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
We got a few emails right after we finished recording our last mail segment, which is just the worst timing possible.
Yeah, that
But
always happens.
we did get that long email from the one and only Pedro.
Yes.
Our Brazilian contingent is back.
Let's hear it.
Subject, I'm back again, but this time it'll last, just like my mother's first marriage. Oh my God. Also thoughts on Alien and Aliens. Oh no, that means he's not going to stay.
Oh no.
The implication. Okay. Hello, Dylan and Gab. Pedro is back after 4 goddamn months. I'm really sorry for not being able to keep my last promise of more consistency. Technically, you were consistently absent, so that counts for something.
Yeah, very consistent.
A bunch of things happened, and in typical Pedro fashion, I'm going to send you all a huge email. First of all, here's the reason for my silence over the last few months. So, I was living with a friend for most of last year, as he was finishing college, and for other personal reasons, it was decided we should not live together anymore. So for a while, I lived in my country's version of a frat house. In Brazil, they're known as republics, and are independently organized by the students. Somebody insert your own joke about a banana republic. I can't think of one, but it's there.
What is a banana republic?
It's like a sham government, a kangaroo court.
Yes. That's what I thought. Because I remember thinking, what a strange name for a mid-level clothing store.
I also feel like I might be wrong on that, but you know who can correct me if I am wrong? Scotty Cameron, our poli-sci expert.
Yeah, but I don't want to wait. A banana republic.
I don't have a direct link mentally with him. Oh, you're
No,
Googling
I understand. A small nation, especially in Central America, dependent on one crop or the influx of foreign capital. No, you moron. It means that they need to sell bananas. Oh, no. Then it says, what is the idiom banana republic? A small country, especially in South and Central America, that is poor, corrupt, and badly ruled. So I guess. Oh.
So I didn't get the actual dictionary definition, but I was close enough to the Urban Dictionary definition. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it seems like it's like an idiom and a derogatory term, but it technically is a place that like won't survive unless they have that one thing that they can sell. It's like they're like a one-trick pony, but you would call a country a banana republic if it sucks.
You know, Gab, you already took too long to explain that. You did need to call me an idiom.
Also, why do you think they named the clothing store Banana Republic?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because like, it doesn't seem like there's any positive
say,
connotation.
It's just a brand by this point. Like most people now, I've heard people use the term Banana Republic and they're describing the clothing store, not like anything relative to like a form of government. You know what I mean? Or a country.
When I typed, of course, when I typed Banana Republic into Google, the only options for like the autofill were like store, outlet, near me, sales this week. Like it had nothing to do with the government. I had to type in definition.
Banana Republic, very nice, too expensive for me. I'm never going to seek out Banana Republic.
Yeah, it is the same thing as Club Monaco, is it not?
I have no idea what that is.
Or I think Banana Republic might be owned by the Gap. And so therefore it's just like the Gap, but fancier. I don't know.
They're all owned by the same like three amorphous corporations. We talked about this once before, I feel like.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Pedro.
As Pedro was saying, some of them allowed people to live there as a sort of tenant for a limited time, paying part of the rent without having to join the house system, which is what I was doing for a while. When I finally moved out of there and found a place to live, my situation was really bad. I don't like where this email is going, Pedro.
Yeah.
I had to live without a refrigerator for nearly 6 months.
What?
I'm stopping myself from making a joke and saying that's cold. I didn't say it. I just said that I didn't say it. I could barely afford anything other than basic stuff. Now I feel like a real piece of shit. Only ate minimally and occasionally ordered food because I could not cook anything. Lost about 20 kilograms.
Oh my God, that's 44 pounds.
Holy shit. He translated that here, but how the fuck do you know that, Gab?
Dylan,
Why do you know that?
I work in fitness. What do
Yeah,
you mean?
in America. You work in fitness in America, Gab.
Yeah, but like most things in fitness, because you can be much more precise with kilos. So 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds.
I gotta tell you, Gab, that shocked me. You just threw me so bad because Pedro, like, it makes sense that he knows the metric translation, or he Googled it, I guess. The fact that you just off the top of your head were like, oh yeah, 44 pounds. It has turned Pedro's tragic situation into like, wow, look at Gab.
A magic trick, I know. Well, the thing is, like, I learned weightlifting in kilos. So sometimes, like, now we work in pounds because we do like CrossFit. And sometimes I have to like put it into kilos to understand how heavy it is. Like, pounds doesn't even really mean anything to me anymore. And like when you load plates on the bar, like the biggest plates are the 45s, I have a hard time doing, like, I know if I have a women's bar and I have 2 45s, one on each side, it's 125 pounds, but it like doesn't, I don't really get it, but I know that it's 45 kilos.
I wish pounds didn't mean anything to me anymore. I'd feel a lot better on the scale.
Yeah. It's definitely a better situation on the scale. It's it's a wild thing, but kilos are much better, and you could be a lot more precise with kilos.
I mean, we all know the metric system is better. This is America. We're not going to do it just because you tell us to and because it's better.
Yeah.
Have you not noticed this nation is stupid?
Oh, trust me, I've noticed. Okay. Anyway, Pedro. So you lost
back
44
to Pedro's
pounds.
Horrible situation. Yes.
Yeah.
That was when I first started to send less frequent messages, and of course was not feeling very good with pretty much anything in my life during this time. Okay, things got a little better, thank goodness. And I started sending emails again 4 months ago. Oh no, I feel like this is about to get worse because there was then a break.
No.
I had a paying internship, not a lot of money, but better than nothing. Finally got a refrigerator. Also, my classes were ending and had a little break to send more emails. So the Friday when My Cousin Vinny episode was released, I was writing some of my best work for you all. Turned off my notebook and went to class. Came back a little later and my notebook would not turn on. That's not good.
Oh no.
Pedro's taking me on a journey and I don't like anywhere it's going. Went to a store I knew could fix it, but since it was Friday and they had a backlog of other computers to fix, I knew it was going to take a while. I remember thinking, please God, let anything be wrong with it as long as the motherboard still works. Ever heard the expression, when God closes a door, he opens a window? Would that also be an idiom?
Yes.
Yes. See, I'm no idiom. Well, in my situation, it was more like, when God closes a door, he also hammers the window shut because you can't have good things. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Not only was my motherboard fried, but I had no money to replace it, and the cost to replace it was so huge, it was better to buy a new notebook altogether, which I also had no money for. This is terrible. This also reminds me of Giselle and I, our first car we had was like a 1991 Toyota Camry.
Oh.
And we were giving Zach a ride. We were like, sure, we can drive you. And so this is like the dead of winter with snow on the ground, and he's wearing slippers because he's like, you're driving me anyway. It doesn't matter. We're driving and something's wrong with the car. So we pull it into this gas station and the guy opens up the hood and something shoots out. And we're like, we'll give you a second to take a look at it. And he comes back and he goes, the threading of your engine is messed up. And I was like, why is there thread in the engine? Goes, yeah, this car, it's going to cost way more to fix it than it's worth. And we were just like, oh no, not Toyota Camry. That was our like little name for the car. Hopefully, Pedro, you two can laugh someday at this. Let's see what else he said here. Lost every single personal file that was not saved on Google Drive, all my editing projects and my work. Damn, they couldn't like even take the hard drive out for you? Or I don't know if that would work even if the motherboard was fried. I'm not enough of a computer expert. Any writing project from then on, whether it was creative or academic, had to be done in the computer room in the university, which was the worst place to write. At the same time, my colleagues finished their acting and directing degrees, needed my help with video editing and video mapping projection for their final projects, as they were my friends and I was the last person in the arts department who worked in these fields and also needed to build my portfolio. I was not going to refuse to help them. So for the next 3 months, I worked on 2 plays with a borrowed notebook, but only during work hours. I did not have any access to any streaming platform, so I couldn't watch Batman the Animated Series or Superman the Animated Series episodes for Jump on the Batwagon. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh.
And I couldn't watch any of the films y'all were watching. Also, my university has had 3 to 4 semesters a year since 2021, since we were all shut down for an entire year because of the pandemic. So in order to course correct, that was the solution. What do you mean? They're just cramming? Oh my God.
That's insane. What are you taking, like 12 classes a semester?
This sounds awful. For that reason, my break was very short and I had to go back to classes very quickly. I'm just
Their school
imagining
has what?
Pedro's like, I took my first 5 classes from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Then I took my second 5 classes from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm like, what does he sleep?
Honestly, I was going to say his school has part-time, full-time, and double time.
Pedro's on double secret class.
Holy shit.
Okay. Hopefully this is the last time hopefully this is the end of the story. Anyway, after a little while, things got better. That's why I'm hoping it stays at this point. I finished my work on the place and got a better paying internship in a school that actually wants a theater teacher. Finally got a new notebook. I'm in the process of recovering my old files from my old PC. I'm finishing college next year in July. Congratulations. Which
Yay.
feels insane, but I still have a little time to try and finally return to writing long messages to you two. So yeah, that's what's been going on. So after that half, quote, life is depressing, and half, quote, life gets better emails, here are my thoughts on Alien and Aliens. They're great. That's it. I don't have much to say.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, he has more to say.
Oh, good.
He's earned it. He hasn't been able to send something in forever.
Yeah.
One of the first DVD box sets I bought with the original 4 films. I remember really paying attention to Ridley Scott's commentary on the first film, and I do prefer the first one over the second, but they're both great classic films. The first one being a fantastic sci-fi horror, and the second one a great action film with some of James Cameron's best work in the 80s. Both are definitely worth watching before you die. Now, before concluding, here goes my question for this week, directed at Dylan. So, it's sports ball season again. How does it feel being a Patriots fan these days? As a fan of another Boston-based sports team, go Celtics, I'm feeling good, but I think our situations are different. So, before I get to the next question, which is for the both of us, I'm just going to say it's real bad. It's not good at all.
Bad? It's bad?
For 20 years, we were just the best team in football, and it was great. Every week, we could win. I expected to win. I expected to be in every game. Now I'm realizing what it's like for most people, because every week I expect to lose. It's terrible. They're the worst. They might be the worst team in football, Gab. It's brutal.
How does that happen so quickly? Is it really a result of Tom Brady or Bill Belichick? You like that? You like
Look
that?
at you. Look at
at
you
me.
showing off your sports ball knowledge.
Look at me.
In the Patriots case, it's losing the greatest quarterback of all time. And then you have a coach who has been able to consistently do things a certain way because he had the greatest quarterback of all time, not able to do those things. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, Tom Brady's the only reason the Patriots were great. No, it was the both of them. But when it's just one of them, I don't think there's an easy way to account for not having the greatest quarterback ever anymore.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Who took over for Tom Brady, and how the fuck does anybody fill those shoes?
Well, for 1 year, they had Cam Newton just as a free agent bridge quarterback. And now
I know who he is, I think.
Yeah. Now they've had Mac Jones for 3 years, and Mac Jones, God bless him. He looked good his rookie year. He looks bad. He looks real bad. And I supported him for a long time. And last week, watching him against the Colts in Germany, it was brutal, Gab. He was just throwing balls that it was like, I can't play football, but even I can see what you're doing wrong here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, not even the way that it's like, bro, where were you throwing that? Like, the last interception he threw, which got him benched in that game, there's clearly a guy open in the end zone, and he just throws it like 5 yards short to a defender just waiting to have the ball fall into his arms.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
All right. Enough about sports ball. It's making me sad, and the listener doesn't care.
Yeah, I definitely don't care.
But I hope your Celtics do well. Now for both of you. Of all the episodes I missed since my last email, the Into the Spider-Verse episode, what movie should I watch next? Be careful with that answer. In my first email, Gab ordered me to watch Vampire's Kiss, and the email after that was an academic essay of ridiculous proportions.
That is true. It was. I remember.
It's a good question. What movie would we recommend to him of our past few episodes?
You know what's crazy? My timeline is messed up, but I know what I would recommend, but we haven't released it yet.
Wait. Oh my God. I'm so curious how which one it is. Oh, is it the one we just recorded?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, can't tell
Yeah.
on that one.
Too late. Too soon. Um, you know, I think it would probably,
We
for
could subject him to
me.
the lovely bones.
Oh my God! Wait, we should subject him to bones and all the bones.
I did think butts and bones,
Nothing but the bones.
Joyride. I love Joyride.
Hmm.
Starship Troopers.
Hmm.
God, my cousin Vinny was a while ago.
Yeah.
Or Pedro. This has been a sad occurrence of events, but I'm glad you're emailing.
I'm gonna tell you, last week was one of the worst weeks of my life.
Poor Gab.
Yeah.
Poor
Like not as bad as
Gab.
Pedro, but like I just it got so bad that I really started laughing, thinking like there's just no way it could get worse than this. So far this week has been better, but other people were telling me that it was also a really, really, really bad week for them. Did you have a bad week last week?
No worse than normal.
Okay, that's good. Regular bad week.
Yeah, just my usual bad.
Yeah.
Ooh, we could also say The Jerk.
Oh, The Jerk is a great. Yeah, let's say The Jerk.
Watch The Jerk, Pedro. Hopefully
Jerk.
that'll cheer you up.
It's quick.
Okay, let's finish this email. Very little left. Anyway, I'm glad to be back. Sorry for not being able to send anything for so long. Sometimes life gets in the way. This podcast is so much fun, and I'm glad to be able to follow it again. I'm back now, claiming back my spot as the number 2 biggest fan, right after Scotty Cameron. I can't promise weekly emails, but I'll be more frequent. Hope you two are doing great. See you next time.
Oh, Pedro, that was so sweet. I'm so sorry you had a rough time. The thing I want you to understand, though, is that it happens to everybody. I mean, there are just highs and lows in life, and you'll have really, really good spans of time and really, really tough spans of time. And I think eventually, to Dylan's point, you do get to a place where you can laugh about it. And I'm hoping that that is coming for you soon. My mom always used to say that some of your best days are followed by some of your worst days. Yeah, are followed by some of your worst days. I just had to question if I said that correctly.
Well, I would hope the reverse is what you mean for him, that some of your worst days are followed by some of your best days.
Oh, yeah, that is what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. Yes, what I meant was some of your worst days are followed by some of your best days.
What she's saying is there's a cycle, Pedro, and eventually your best days will end, and then there will be more worst days. But
yeah,
don't worry, because there's going to be best days.
Sometimes, the Homer Simpson line, Corey says this to me all the time. I'll be like, this was the worst day of my life. And he goes, so far. Worst day of your life so far.
I have 3 kids and no money. Why can't I have no kids and 3 money? Oh my God. He did send us one more thing, Gab, that I have to send to you. So check your phone. Forgot to send this with my last email. When y'all pointed out that tagline, sometimes the scariest things come from within, could be used for Taco Bell, I laughed loudly and made this. Hope both of you like it.
That is amazing.
I don't like it, Pedro. I love it.
I'm
posting this perfect. On Instagram.
Please do.
Okay. We have another email now from the one and only Keen Machine.
Keen.
About aliens. Greetings, Dylan and Gab and James. He can't hear you anymore.
Yeah.
This very special episode that debuted a double feature review and a beloved guest was quite a fun listen. You all made some great points about these films. I felt like I was there on the spaceship awaiting my doom from extraterrestrial mischief. Of course, as we appraise these 2 films as movies to watch before we die, we must also add them to the growing list of films I have not yet seen. Keen, we gotta get you watching more movies.
Yeah.
What are you out there being like social or productive or something?
Yeah, what do you have, like a life?
I loved your answers about favorite Halloween costumes a few episodes. I just almost choked and died on my spit, Gab. You would have watched me across the computer die.
Oh, no.
It was close, guys. I'm okay. I loved your answers about favorite Halloween costumes a few episodes ago, except for the part about Gab getting an unexpected ingredient in her drink.
Sad.
I hope you both had a fun Halloween this year. I think, did you do anything for Halloween? I just worked.
No. Yeah, same. Work and laid across the couch.
Yeah, Giselle tried to convince me to wear a costume to work, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I don't imagine a lot of these people are gonna be wearing costumes. There was not a costume in the joint.
Yeah, no. Also, you and I recorded an episode on Halloween because I remember Giselle coming
You're
in
right.
saying that she was in a dinosaur costume.
You're right. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. Back to this week's topic. I have to admit that the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Sigourney Weaver is her voice cameo over the speakers in Finding Dory. I've never seen Finding Dory. Have you?
No.
Apparently, she says, "Hello, I'm Sigourney Weaver. Welcome to the Marine Life Institute." I definitely quote that more than a normal person should.
Weird.
Yeah, that's one of those oddly specific quotes. Like, I feel like some of the ones that we've tossed out recently, the one that always comes to my mind from the apparently terrible Recess Schools Out, "Don't do it. Don't do it, Dr. Benedict."
Yeah, that's such a strange one. But I always look at Sally and go, "These are not children. This was all angels." And
So
that's pretty
sometimes-
esoteric.
Yeah, some real random shit sticks with you.
Yeah.
I definitely quote that more than a normal person should. I hope we can hear more of James again someday. Or in a real twist of fate, maybe we'll hear Gab on the Jump on the Batwagon podcast someday. Until next time,
boy.
keep it keen. I should have messaged you, Gab. They literally were like, if Gab is listening to this, we'll pay her $50. I just
Damn
commented.
it.
I tried to say, I'm Gab, send the money to Dylan, but nobody bit.
That's hilarious. Oh man, I missed my opportunity.
Okay. Now we have.
I wonder how many other podcasts are offering me money and I'm blissfully unaware.
Wait, you've not been listening to the We Offer Gab Money podcast?
Damn it.
Okay.
You know what I've really been considering? Tell me what you think about this. Feet Finder. What are your thoughts?
I find feet disgusting. I think we'd all be better off with blocks like Lego people.
I don't care for feet either, but as somebody who's run 12 marathons, I feel like my feet are perhaps of value. And I feel like the stigma around selling feet photos has lessened in recent history. And I just feel like maybe I should give it a shot. What's the worst thing that could happen? I don't make any money.
I mean, Gab, as the kids say, get that bag. But I don't think that your marathons at all increase the value of your feet. These are perverts who are trying to jerk off to feet photos, Gab. They're not curious about your athletic achievements with the feet.
No. I know, but I'm just saying, like, some people, like, I feel like that would be a thing that would be unique, where it's like, oh, you know, because they want you to like do weird things with your feet, but like my feet are like a little rough around the edges because they've been used quite a bit. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. This feels gross. I don't like it anymore. Did you ever see the King of the Hill episode where Peggy doesn't realize that she's recording foot fetish videos?
No.
Because she has these giant feet and they're like, yeah, people love these videos. And she's just like stepping on things in the videos. And she's like, when do I start doing dialogue? Because she thinks she's like an actress now. And the guy's just clearly like just recording her feet.
That's hilarious. I want that to be me, except I want to make money and I want no dialogue.
Yeah. You know what? Go for it. What can it hurt?
I just feel like I mean, I just did say it on the podcast, but I feel like nobody would know. It's the perfect side
you are
hustle.
describing it right now.
Yeah, but then if you're listening and you want to find my feet, you'd have to create an account on Foot Finder and pay for it. So really, who's the fucking psycho there? Not me.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with 1 feet.
That was particularly bad. You
Thank
might want to delete that.
Nah.
Side note, when you were reading Keen's email, later you're going to want to go back and look at the video file because Sally walked onto my leg and started making biscuits into my skin and I reacted in a way that I think is going to be funny.
Wait, did you just silently do it as you were in pain?
Yeah, I went like this.
Sally was like, "You're going to bleed."
Sally was like, "Oh, I like your pants."
We have 2 more comments left, both from our top fan. He's clearly, even the other fans know, like, we gotta pump the brakes.
Yeah.
So first, he gave the time code, which hopefully we'll be able to decipher. From Bones and All, 1 hour, 6 minutes, 17 seconds. Yes, there are a lot of DC crossovers with Alien and Predator that were published in the 90s. Okay, I do remember talking about this.
Uh-huh.
In fact, there's a Justice League versus Predator crossover where the Justice League fights Predator versions of the Justice League. That sounds not just Predators. They're the Predator, like Predator Superman, Predator Batman.
Interesting.
There was recently like Jurassic League where it was the Justice League, but they were dinosaurs. And I was like, who's reading this? Why is this a thing? As a matter of fact, the Alien versus Predator movies are based on comics. I want to say they were published by Wildstorm, which is an imprint of DC. I know Freddy vs. Jason was based on a Wildstorm comic, and there was a planned sequel to Freddy vs. Jason called Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which was going to adapt the comic of the same name. Funny that the Alien, Predator, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Evil Dead movies weren't based on comics, yet when the studios decided to cross over the franchises, they took inspiration from the comics on how to do and yet still screw it up. There are a lot of interesting and weird comic book crossovers, like 3 Batman and Spawn crossovers, an Invincible and Spider-Man crossover, the New Avengers and Transformers crossover, Wildcats and X-Men, 2 X-Men and Star Trek crossovers, 2 Green Lantern and Star Trek crossovers, and a Batman crossover with Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe in a Fortnite tie-in comic. Just shows the limitless potential of comic book crossovers. It also tells you that comic books are cheaper to make and easier to just retcon, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to spend like $200 million making the Batman and Star Trek movie.
Oh, yeah. No.
Although, I'd fucking see it. Who am I kidding? Batman's in it, goddammit. I'd see it.
That's terrible.
I watched the Lego Batman movie, and that shit was tight.
Yeah, but I love Will Arnett.
Will Arnett is great.
Amazing.
Although I just wish he and Amy Poehler had made it work.
Oh my God, I know. Same.
That's one of those celebrity couples
same.
that was really upsetting when it didn't work.
Yeah. Oh, they were perfect.
And now I loved Chris Pratt and Anna Faris, and now it just makes me hate Chris Pratt.
Why?
Oh, he was a real douchebag.
He was?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Didn't he? I believe he made some comment about their son who has
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what it is, some developmental disability or something like that. And like he was like, thank you to my wife for our like perfectly able child or something like that. Like something that sounded very specifically like a shot at not only your ex-wife, but your child.
Yeah. He's with
Catherine
like Schwarzenegger's daughter. Right, right. And they have kids, and he's like, yeah, I remember that. Yep, I 100% remember that. And I think Anna Faris came to his defense, no?
Well, if she did, that just shows how good Anna Faris is and how bad he is.
Yeah. That sucks. I want him to not be a dick.
Did you see the trailer for Garfield?
No.
He's the voice of Garfield. And it's just his voice. Like come on.
Didn't they do the same thing in Mario?
At least he tried to sound like slightly Italian, I guess, for Mario. Even then it was like
it was him too, right?
Yeah. Why are we recasting every animated role with him?
Also, like, who asked for these movies? Because I'll tell you what, Garfield is not on my list.
Yeah, you know what, Garfield, we have found out works as 3 panels of a fucking comic. We don't need 2 hours of Garfield.
No. And you know what? It's going to be 90 minutes because they don't even have 2 hours of Garfield.
Yeah. I guess we will not be doing a first weekend review of Garfield.
No, we will not be.
Next. We got one more comment from Scotty. 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 3 seconds, and this one is. You know what? That's actually a good point. I never thought of it that way until now, and Gab's right. It is actually funnier when talking about ones that aren't Steven Seagal movies, but make references to ones that are notoriously as bad. They all can be Steven Seagal bargain bin straight-to-video disasters.
Thank you, comic genius over here.
And Gab, what is the acronym?
SSSTVBBD.
So close. It's SSBBSTVD.
Oh, damn it. I closed my eyes and everything.
I so badly want to one day like be able to nail that acronym. Like we'll have a random guest on. We'll be like, man, your pick was a straight up SSBBTVD. All right. I think we finally got through all the mail. It just felt long, I think, because of poor Pedro's long email, but your email was worth it, Pedro. You earned it.
Was. You did, and we're happy you're back.
Yes. I guess we can now get to the verdicts for Best in Show.
Best in Show.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
I believe we have determined that this was my movie, even though we sort of, I feel like, picked this movie together.
Yeah, we got. Well, you know what? We needed a boost to our morale after people being eaten by each other. So this felt like a very easy pick for us both because we already knew it was going to be a happy time.
This was definitely a palate cleanser, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's definitely a movie to watch before you die for me. I do think for some people that this definitely wouldn't be, though. Like, if you're not into the type of comedy we're talking about, if you're not into like The Office and Parks and Rec or the mockumentary style, you're not going to like this movie. But if you love The Office, if you love Parks and Rec, you would absolutely love this movie. This movie, I think, is the reason those things exist, because they sort of
I was just going to say that.
of this.
Yeah, I think if there is no Christopher Guest, no Best in Show, no Waiting for Guffman, I don't think that there could possibly be something like The Office. And I would agree with you. And I think this is probably a movie that enough people, or rather not enough people, have seen. So I think if you're listening and you like comedy and you like improv and you like to smile and be happy and oxygen and shit like that, you should watch this movie, because it is gold, top to bottom, head to toe. A brilliant, brilliant piece of art.
If we can introduce tens of people to this movie, we've done our job.
Hundreds. Hundreds. Yeah, it's just so good. I love it. And this was easy. And I think we already knew coming in this was going to be what it was, but I hope that we inspire some people to watch this.
Yeah, put it in the books, add it to the list. It is a movie to watch before you die.
Bum, bum, bum. That was menacing. I didn't mean it to be. Sorry.
You devious bastard. I felt like you were threatening the whole list. God, what do you do with those scissors? Okay. What do we say at the end of this thing, Gab?
Well, we say you have got to write us an email, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're going to email, send it to movies-to-watch-before-you-die@gmail.com. If you're going to comment on YouTube. If you're going to subscribe everywhere. If you like to use your vocal cords, you can send us a voice note at movies-to-watch at anchor. Nope.
Ooh, she botched it. Anchor.fm/movies-to-watch.
Anchor.fm/movies-to-watch. And yeah, reach out, hit us up. We'd like to hear from you. And listen, we got nothing against Scotty Cameron, but a few other names on the list.
Yeah, in addition to Scotty.
Yes, exactly. Scotty's lonely.
We're also a member of the Hall of Pods podcasting network. So if you want to hear from our great podcasting friends, you can click the link tree below in whatever description on whatever podcast platform you're listening or watching this on. And
Hall of Pods.
Gab, do we know what we're doing next?
Well, I guess we just kind of need to decide, is it my pick?
I believe it is.
All right. Well, Dylan, you've really jazzed me up tonight with this talk of Christopher Guest and Jamie Lee Curtis. So I think I'm going to go with a Jamie Lee Curtis movie. One I love. One that brings me joy every time. One I am very excited to rewatch as an adult. Would you like to take a stab?
That makes me feel like you're going to say Halloween, but I don't think you are.
No. Please, it's November.
But Jamie Lee Curtis, would you like to take a stab? I wasn't crazy for thinking it.
No. I could see. I've actually never seen Halloween, so that was purely a coincidence.
You know what? Hot take, kind of overrated.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah. So, are you gonna tell me?
We're doing Freaky Friday.
Oh, okay. We'll see if that holds up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited. I love Lindsay Lohan, and now, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I think Jamie Lee Curtis steals this movie. So I'm very excited. And now I know how cool her husband is, and I'm so happy.
All right, so come back here, same pod time, same pod place, and we will be doing Freaky Friday.
Yeah, Pod Save the Queen. Oh, that's the name of a podcast. I can't say that.
God damn
I thought I was being funny. Sorry.
We nailed the outro and you ruined it.
Can you bleep that?
To what? Is she just like you cursed wildly?
Yeah. No, that's the name of a podcast. I can't say that. Anyway, you could cut it at Same Pod Tower. You can cut it right here. I don't care.
Mommy's getting your toy. Don't you worry. No, we just had a little discussion. Look at me. Don't look at anybody else. Don't look at the fat ass losers or freaks. You look at me!